suffered pain, your spirit soars and sings. Though sorrow clouds your day, it's sunny skies tomorrow brings. And take my hand, let's be friends forever. And take my hand, alone no more, not ever. Imagine dreams are real, and soon you'll start to feel there's magic all around. And take my hand, love is all around.
It was the year 1870. It was an unusually hot June. On Prince Edward Island in Canada, the trees were in full bloom. Here, on this island, in a house named Green Gables, lived Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert. Together, they decided to take in an orphan boy who could help them with their farm work. But instead of the boy they'd expected, a young girl with flaming red hair and summer freckles arrived. Her name was Anne Shirley. Matthew and Marilla didn't know what to do about the situation. Matthew gladly would have kept the girl, but Marilla was against it. She'd set her heart on a boy and couldn't imagine having a young girl about the house.
Come along. It's time for you to get dressed, Anne.
Mrs. Cuthbert, isn't the view just simply magnificent?
Yes, that tree's quite lovely, quite special when it has blossoms on it. Though the fruit it bears are not much good. They're small and worm-ridden.
Oh, really? But I don't mean only the tree, although I must agree it's absolutely beautiful. Yes, the tree is truly exceptionally beautiful and charming.
I mean, everything is simply magnificent, the entire view out there. I mean, the garden, and the brook, and the forest, and all the animals, and the whole beautiful, splendid, magnificent world. Don't you sometimes get the feeling on such a beautiful morning that you can embrace it all? When I woke up this morning, I could hear the babbling of the brook. Oh, Mrs. Cuthbert, I was really pleased that there was a brook near Green Gables.
Oh, yes.
I have the feeling you think that it makes no difference to me whether I remain here with you or return to the orphanage. But to me it makes a very big difference, Mrs. Cuthbert. It's really very important to me. Because I will always have very happy memories of the brook that flows past this house. Besides, all the time I've been here, I couldn't get rid of the silly feeling that, like the brook, I belong at Green Gables. It's quite clear that I've overcome last night's terrible doubt, Mrs. Cuthbert. Yes, I feel so much happier about the world this morning. Although I know I will never ever have such a lovely morning again. However, I'll have other beautiful mornings instead. I suppose I should be grateful. Isn't it wonderful that I was given this morning at all? Suddenly I feel very sad again. But I suppose it's because I'd imagined how beautiful everything was here at Green Gables, and how happy I'd be if you and Mr. Cuthbert decided to take me into your home, but in the meantime you'd already set your heart on a young boy instead. Well, I suppose I should bury my hopes.
Be so good as to get dressed, if you don't mind. And then come down to the kitchen. You can bury your hopes later. We're waiting for you to come and have breakfast. And wash your face and comb your hair properly, Anne. Leave the window open and put the bedspread over the foot of the bed, will you? And do it immediately, don't dawdle.
I'm finished. Everything is done. Oh, good morning, Mr. Cuthbert. Did you sleep well?
Yes, good morning, Anne.
Oh, good. This morning I'm as hungry as a wolf. I think it's because the world seems so much friendlier today than it was last night, and fortunately it's not raining.
That's true.
How happy we should be when the sun is shining merrily. I really must not be so ungrateful as to say that rain would have spoilt the morning. When I take time to think about it, I find that the nature of the morning is truly interesting to me. It surely must be to you too, Mr. Cuthbert. Early in the morning you don't know what the day has in store. That gives you the possibility of hope. Nevertheless, I'm very happy it's not raining. In any case, it's easier to be optimistic and to keep your chin up when the good old sun is shining. But it's much easier said than done when so much sadness stares you in the face.
My dear child, is it at all possible for you to stop talking for a minute and eat your food before it gets cold? Enjoy your breakfast.
Anne held her tongue. She was hurt. She hadn't realized that with everything she'd said, she'd got on Marilla's nerves. Therefore, she was rather sad. Her heart was so full, and with everything on her mind, she just had to tell someone. But she realized that perhaps this was a mistake, and so she kept quiet. Matthew got up from the table. He could not understand what Marilla was doing. And Marilla? She became aware of Anne's hurt, and suddenly felt a pang of pity.
Do you think you could clear the table, Anne?
Certainly. I could also wash the dishes.
Oh, really? Without dropping anything?
Oh, yes, of course. Although I'm a much better child-minder than I've ever been a dishwasher. It's such a shame you don't have any little children in the house.
I'd say at the moment I do have a little child in the house, and for the life of me I can only foresee a lot of problems and misery. What would happen if I should suddenly drop dead? Would you be able to carry on for me? You wouldn't be able to rely on my brother at all.
Your brother is quite a wonderful person. He has a very good heart. And underneath, you have exactly the same qualities that I've noticed. When we first met, you were extremely quiet, but I listened carefully to everything you said.
My dear girl, I must say I can see why you charmed my brother so much. You find everything entrancing. You always have your head in the clouds, and your feet are never on the ground. Well, we can worry about those things later. Today we have much to do. We must go to White Sands to discuss matters with Mrs. Spencer. I must get to the bottom of what went wrong. I would appreciate it very much if you'd be present for this discussion, as it concerns you. When you finish washing the dishes, I want you to go upstairs and make your bed and tidy your room.
Very well.
You certainly are handy.
Thank you, Mrs. Cuthbert.
What are you trying to do, my dear girl? I thought you were making your bed, but you're having a boxing match.
I am making the bed, but somehow he just doesn't want to behave today.
You should lightly, but ever so lightly, pat the feathers to get them even, like this. Can you see?
Oh, I see. Just ever so lightly. Just pat it.
When you've finished making the bed, please go outside and wait for me in the garden.
That sounds good, thank you.
When I take you with me for my appointment with Mrs. Spencer, I want you to be on your absolute best behaviour, as is proper.
Yes, I won't be any trouble.
Oh, what's the matter with you, Anne? Why are you sitting at the table?
I can't help it. If I'm going to be sent back, then it doesn't make any sense to fall even more in love with Green Gables and all the loveliness of this beautiful farm. Every time I see it all again, the brook, the trees, the meadows, the lake, the flowers, then I just can't help myself loving everything all the more. To me, it's difficult enough as it is. I don't want to make it even more difficult. It's as if everything is calling out to me. Anne, come out and play with us. Anne, what are you doing, Anne? Come out and give us your love. That's why it's better if I don't hear it at all. It's absolutely useless. Why should you love things if you know beforehand that you will lose them, that they will be taken from you? I was so very happy when I thought that I might live here. Green Gables is so beautiful. I thought here are so many things I could love without bothering anyone. Anyway, this short dream has come to an end. For me, there is nothing left but to accept my fate. So as not to be tempted to get my hopes up again, I'd rather stay inside if that's all right with you. Mrs. Cuthbert?
Yes, Anne?
What do you call the geranium standing in the windowsill?
I believe just geranium.
Don't you see? You didn't give this pretty little flower its own name. Do you ever talk to it then? Please, may I choose a name for the plant? Let me see. Bonnie is a pretty name for it. If you have no objection, I shall call it Bonnie for as long as I remain here.
I have no objection. Although with the best will in the world, I can't see why you'd find it so important to give a flower a name.
I don't understand that at all. Things you love should be spoken to in any case. That's what I think. I find that with a name, objects become more human. I wonder if it wasn't a case of someone not wanting to offend a geranium that he named it Geranium. You would not like it either if someone called you Woman instead of Mrs. Cuthbert. I've also given the tree outside my bedroom window a name. I named her the Snow Queen because she's so beautifully white. Of course, she isn't in full bloom throughout the year, but the name Snow Queen helps to tell what she looks like in early spring.
In my entire life, I've never come across anyone quite like this young girl. It's true what Matthew said, and Shirley's an interesting little thing. She's so quaint that one never knows from moment to moment what the child will come out with next. Perhaps this little one has put me under a spell too. She's truly charmed Matthew. Oh, yes, but Matthew's totally unreasonable. Why would we keep the child with us? She couldn't help us with the farm work.
Your boughs of white are pure delight to me. 1,000 sweet adventures beneath your fragrant cherry blossoms. I dream of these, oh, what joy it means to me. But they dreams that cannot be. Why must all of this bewitch me so? When it seems that I have to go. Such pure delight. It's real, alright, not just a dream. The morning sun plants kisses on the trees below. The birds fluff out their feathers and sing their early morning greetings. The babbling brook drips over stones and falls. Nature's calls, they ring out to me. Why must all of this bewitch me so? When it seems that I have to go. Such pure delight. It's real, alright, not just a dream.
Thank you for the offer, Mr. Cuthbert. I...
See you, Jerry.
Today we'll have lunch a little earlier than usual. Matthew, may I use the buggy this afternoon? It seems to me that finally it'll be my decision, so I want to go to Mrs. Spencer to discuss the matter in detail with her. I'm taking Anne along with me. Presumably Mrs. Spencer will know what we have to do and whether the orphanage will take the little girl back. I shall keep your afternoon tea warm for you. And I'll try to be home early enough to be able to milk the cows tonight.
Matthew said nothing. He knew it served no purpose to argue with Marilla. When she'd made up her mind, nothing could deter her. She always did what she felt was right. He realized it would be best not to disagree with her. And to be honest, he'd never really tried to either.
Marilla, this morning young Jerry Boot came to see me. I told him this summer he could come and work for us on the farm when he wants to.
Are you trying to keep this little orphan, Matthew? It was your idea that we adopt a young lad.
Little Bonnie and all the rest. Goodbye, Snow Queen. Goodbye to you, Mr. Cuthbert. I will never forget you, Mr. Cuthbert. Goodbye,
And tomorrow, what sorrow, what pain. Whatever hopes I have had, I'll simply have to bury again. And tomorrow, what will happen to me? So will the sun still shine? Will there be someone kind? Please help me. Is there no love left to find? Please help me. Please help me. I'm sorrow's child.
The despair in Anne's voice as she said her goodbyes kept ringing in Matthew's ears. He blamed himself. He couldn't understand why he hadn't told his sister clearly and directly that he wanted Anne to remain at Green Gables. He was furious with himself for being such a weakling. Under the circumstances, Matthew couldn't do any work that afternoon. With all his heart, he hoped that Marilla would change her mind and bring Anne back to the house. He'd intended to weed the garden and work on some flower beds, but he couldn't do anything except sit and wait. Marilla didn't want to feel responsible for taking Anne back. In fact, she felt utterly miserable. Anne sensed this, but she too was unhappy. She would gladly have changed Marilla's mind for her, but she couldn't do that, so she had to be a bit more cunning.
I have just realized how much I'm enjoying this ride with you.
Pardon?
Experience has taught me that you can enjoy anything if you set your mind to it. I've driven out the thought of the orphanage, and now I'm concentrating on this wonderful ride and all the lovely things we can see.
Oh.
During the ride, Marilla asked Anne to tell her all about her past experiences, and Anne told her about the terribly touching events of her childhood. Marilla didn't know whether Anne was shamelessly exaggerating or if everything she described was true. But more about that in our next episode.
Soft whispers on the breeze, the wood nymphs in the trees are calling out your name. They offer you their gift, sweet fragrance fills the air. The magic of a moonlit night, a nightingale's song to share.